Well, a very, very happy Wednesday morning, everyone, and welcome to the John Kentera Show on YouTube, Facebook, and on X. Great to have you today. We got a lot to cover. Padres got an early game today at Comerica Park. They're going to finish up this six-game road trip. Try to finish at 500. Right now, they're sitting at 2-3. Lost two in Houston. They lost the game Monday night to Detroit. They came back Tuesday night. Got a great effort by Nick Pivetta, and they'll try to finish up this road trip 3-3. Reminder: Padres come home. They'll be off on Thursday, and then Friday night they open up game one of a three-game set against the Tampa Bay Rays. They'll be off on Monday, and then Bob Melvin, San Francisco Giants, coming in next Tuesday and Wednesday afternoon. Hope everybody having a great week. A little bit frustrating on Monday night. Randy Vasquez had a very, very difficult time in that ball game. But before I get into breaking down the first two games and tell you about Kyle Hart making his third road start, I want to remind everyone we're here on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 o'clock, and we go anywhere from 40 minutes to an hour. Really kind of depends on if you have questions for me or not. I try to give you all the information I can, and then I turn the show over to you, either writing in questions or if you've in the last couple of days sent anything into the coach's mailbag. Now, again, I mentioned we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook at John Kentera, and on X at Coach Kentera 44, and more than happy to answer any of your questions. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, like it, and send those comments in. A lot of good baseball chatter with you folks 3 days a week. Let's get to Monday night. Randy Vasquez, who's really been pitching well. I mean, he's been a breath of fresh air, much improved from a year ago where he made 20 starts and had a 4.87 ERA. The other night, hopefully it was a blip on the radar. He just didn't have it. He went 2+ innings the other night, ended up giving up 5 hits, 6 earned runs, 3 walks, hit batsman, had 1 strikeout. He's not a strikeout pitcher. His ERA was under 2. It climbed up to 3.97. Took the loss. His record 1-2. But more than anything else with Randy Vasquez, there's that walk in his game, and he doesn't have overpowering stuff. He's got good stuff, but he doesn't have overpowering stuff. But he got to trust his stuff, and for the most part this year, he's done a pretty good job. He's going to walk his fair share, and he's not a strikeout guy, and that comes back to bite him. But the other night, he just didn't have it. He looked tired. He never really got into a rhythm. And, he lasted 2 batters into the third inning and had to go to the bullpen. So, you know what? Hopefully, like I said, a blip on the radar. Next start this weekend against Tampa Bay, I presume. He'll be raring to go. The bullpen, again, Monday night. Even though the Padres got beat 6-4 and they were out hit 11-7, bullpen was solid. I mean, they walked 4, but they gave up 6 hits, but no runs and 4 strikeouts. Between Logan Gillespie, Wandy Peralta, Yuki Matsui, they did a nice job. Offensively, the Padres, they left 6 runners on. They were 2 for 9 with runners in scoring position. Fernando had a hit and an RBI, but a couple of punch-outs. And by the way, after we got off the air on Monday, it came down that Fernando was named the National League Player of the Week. Very well deserving, and continues to play great baseball. Gavin Sheets on Monday night, 2 for 4, hit his 3rd homer, drove in his 12th run. And Oscar Gonzalez, who's hanging in there, doing a nice job out there in left field, 2 for 4 and an RBI on Monday night. But at the end of the day, Padres couldn't get it done. Couldn't get it done in game 1. But then Tuesday night, Nick Pivetta, he gets a 2-run Elias Diaz home run in the top of the second, and he made it hold up. I mean, he went 7 and pitched great. I mean, that's the 3rd time he has gone 7 innings this year. Another tremendous outing. 7 innings, 2 hits, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, goes to 4-1, drops his ERA down to 1.20. Just magnificent performance. And I want to mention Elias Diaz because he'd been struggling. Him and Maldonado both were struggling, and then Maldonado the other night had a 2-hit game, and then really swung the bat pretty well in that game. Could have had 4 hits, but Tuesday night, Diaz hits that home run. But the key on that whole thing, as you remember, he fell behind 0-2 in the count. against Jack Flaherty, and then he came back, got the count to 2-2, and then Flaherty tried to sneak a curveball by him at 78 miles an hour, and he whacked it out for a 2-run bomb. So a great piece of hitting by Elias Diaz, down in the count, 0-2 to the veteran Jack Flaherty, got the count to 2-2, and then took him over the boards for the 2-run homer, and that's the way it ended, 2-0. Padres only had 6 hits against Flaherty, Bailey Horn, and Chase Lee, but they made them count. Detroit only had 3. Padres, once again, not swinging the bat well with runners in scoring position. This has been a problem on the road, and this is going to come back and bite them. At home, they've been unbelievable with runners in scoring position. On the road, their numbers are not good. They were 0 for 2 on Tuesday night, left 7 runners on. So in the first 2 games, they're sitting right now at 2 for 9 and 0 for 2. So they're sitting at 2 for 11 right now. Not going to get it done. But at home, they've been unbelievable runners in scoring position. And offensively, aside from Diaz, not a whole lot. Tyler Wade had a hit and a walk. Gavin Sheets got a start, and he went 0 for 4. He'd been swinging the bat well. He struck out a couple of times. Fernando kept his on-base streak alive. He's been on base every game this year. He was 1 for 4, but he struck out a couple of times. Bogarts scored 1 of the 2 runs. He was 1 for 4. Oscar Gonzalez was 1 for 3. Iglesias was 1 for 3. At the end of the day, Padres only had 1 extra base hit, and it was a 2-run homer by Diaz. They struck out 12 times. Now, Mason McCoy, who struck out 3 of the times, he's 0 for 4, and I'm going to talk about him here in a minute. Luis Vries, after we got off the air on Monday, they put him into concussion protocol, so he's out for 7 days. And he's going to miss basically 5 games. He missed the 3 games in Detroit. I guess he missed 6 games. He'll miss the 3 games in Detroit, the 3 games against Tampa Bay, but you got an off day tomorrow, and then you got an off day on Monday. So he'll be ready to go, should be ready to go for the first game of that brief 2-game set against the San Francisco Giants next Tuesday night. So, Luis, wish him the best. But you know what? It sounded like he's going to be okay, but we never know. He was supposed to fly from Houston to Detroit, but they had him fly from Houston back to San Diego. So he's back in San Diego right now. I want to talk about Mason McCoy because he played a big part in the win on Tuesday night, even though he went 0 for 4 and struck out 3 times. And let's face it, we saw him last year. He's not a great offensive player. He'll go in there, he'll lay down a bunt, he'll try to put the ball in play, but he's not going to hit for much of an average. And I'm not going to say he's an automatic out because anybody with a bat in their hands can be dangerous. But, you go back to last year with Mason McCoy, he hit 204 in 49 at-bats. He's a 185 career hitter. But on Tuesday night, he made 2 really, really nice plays going down the right field line on foul ball or on fly balls. One of them was foul territory. And then he made a great backhanded play going up the middle, and he was able to throw the runner out to first base. He's a very skilled defender. And not only is he a skilled defender, but he can play shortstop. He played second base on Tuesday night, but we're going to see him at shortstop, which is good. And also, Tuesday night, Manny was the designated hitter, and they played Jose Iglesias, who's doing a nice job right now. He played third. This is important. It's very important that you get everybody in your ball club into an opportunity to play, keep them fresh. But guys like Manny, there's nothing wrong with Manny, DHing occasionally with a guy like Iglesias. And if Bogarts needs a day, maybe to DH or maybe not even play at all, you put Mason McCoy at shortstop. So Mason McCoy, even though he went 0 for 4 in 3 strikeouts, played a big, big part in the Padres' win on Tuesday night. I wanted to talk about Tyler Wade. Tyler Wade last year did a nice job for the Padres in a variety of different roles. Mostly as a utility guy, not much of an offensive player. They don't count on him for offense, let's put it that way. But he had a good spring training. He was off to a good start down in AAA. Didn't make the team because he had an option left. Went down there with the right attitude, loves being a Padre. He was the first guy the Padres signed during the offseason. They gave him $900,000, gave him a major league contract. And then he has a nice spring training, ends up getting shipped to AAA. Went down there with the right attitude, was swinging the bat well. with the injuries here, with Merrill and everything that's been going on recently, they bring him up, and he's doing a great job. I mean, right now, Tyler Wade, he's finding a way to make things happen as far as um, getting on base, getting his hit, even if it's a ground ball base hit. He's hitting 286 right now. And he's primarily been an infielder, but he's playing a very nice center field. But again, he is what he is, utility veteran guy who's better to come off the bench, but we got to stem the tide until Jackson Merrill can get back. And once Jackson gets back, I don't know what the role will be for Tyler Wade. He may end up going back to AAA, but he's a valuable piece to have in reserve because you got to have guys like that. Mason McCoy, even though he's not going to give you a lot offensively, guy can play defense. And I'm still a believer you win with pitching and defense. And again, I got to give AJ Preller and his front office and the pro scouts a lot of credit. They're bringing some guys in here that can help this ball club. And, it's hard to find guys that are going to, be 3-tool players. I mean, most guys are two players. Luckily we got Fernando. He's a 5-tool guy. But, if you can do one thing really, really well, it behooves you and it behooves the ball club. And Tyler Wade's doing a nice job right now. No question about it. I want to back up here a little bit, and I want to talk about Kyle Hart. Kyle Hart's going to be pitching the rubber game today. And let me tell you, Kyle Hart at Petco Park has been Warren Spahn and Sandy Koufax as far as getting people out. At Petco Park, his ERA is 1.64. 1.64. Hitters at Petco Park are struggling. Left-handers are really struggling. Right-hand hitters, they're swinging the bat pretty well. But at Petco Park, Kyle Hart is 1.64. The problem is he's not pitching at Petco Park today to win a rubber game. He'll be making his third start of the season on the road. And so far in his 2 starts, they've not gone well. How about a 15.88 ERA? In that first start, he lasted 2/3 of an inning at Wrigley Field and getting banged around. Last start, 5 innings, 5 earned runs and 10 hits against Houston. And he kind of sucked it up and, took one for the ball club, but he got through 5 innings. But he got to pitch better. And not only that, he got to be able to get right-hand hitters out. Think about this. Against right-handed hitters so far this year, Kyle Hart, and I don't get this because he's got a good sweeper, good breaking ball down and into right-hand hitters. They're hitting 333 against him. 333. And against left-handed hitters, they're hitting 071. Left-hand hitters aren't doing squat against him. I mean, and the thing is, he's going at these guys. He's got to go at these hitters. He's giving these hitters way too much credit. And he's got to get ahead in the count and then mix and match. He got a good breaking ball. There's no reason why he shouldn't be getting right-hand hitters out. And we'll see what he's able to do later today against the Detroit Tigers. Detroit's got a good ball club. It's a good test for the Padres. Good test for Kyle Hart today. But, man, a 15.88 ERA in the first 2 games he started on the road this year. I mean, is he going to be one of these guys we can only pitch him in home games? I mean, that's crazy. He's going to be going against the right-hander Reese Olson. Reese Olson, 4 starts so far, had a couple of pretty good outings, 6 innings, 2 earned runs against the White Sox. Last start against Kansas City, 5 shutout innings. Got a 1.64 ERA at Comerica. So another guy that pitches very, very well in his home ballpark. So we'll see where that's at. Again, Padres off tomorrow. They begin a 5-game homestand Friday. Friday, Saturday, Sunday against Tampa Bay. And then next Tuesday and Wednesday afternoon will be against the San Francisco Giants. Okay, Darvish. Darvish is making progress, folks. He's making progress. 26 pitch bullpen. Last weekend in Houston, he threw a 20-pitch bullpen, 19 fastballs, 1 curveball. He just wanted to mix in that curveball, felt good, and then came back and threw another bullpen at Comerica Park. felt good. 26 pitch bullpen. Going to more than likely throw another bullpen. I would think it's probably going to be on Friday, but over the weekend, he's going to throw another one. Getting a little bit closer to a rehab assignment, but realistically, and I mentioned this on Monday, it's going to be a while, and they're going to slow play it. They've been slow playing it. He will probably, hopefully, get back into the Padre rotation in late May or early June. There's no need to rush him. There really isn't. The other note, and I just saw this morning, nobody really wrote about this. I went to transactions. Right-hander Sean Reynolds has been a foot problem really since spring training, been on the IL. He was sent yesterday by the Padres down to El Paso on a rehab assignment. So another power arm, big, strong guy, throws, upper 90s, will hit 100. We saw him a little bit last year, a little bit more of a thrower than a pitcher, but man, getting another power arm, that's what you want. You got to get those power arms. So we got that. And wanted to give you the standings. Man, I watched the end of the Dodger game last night. Man, they had that game won. They were up 10-7. They were down, and they came back. They took a 9-7 lead, and they burped it up and ended up with 2 outs in the ninth. Amaya, that good young catcher for the Cubs, takes Tanner Scott and puts one in the basket right out of the reach of Tommy Edman, who was playing center field. That tied it up. And then Dodgers couldn't score in the 10th. And the Cubs, first pitch they saw off of Noah Davis. How about this? Noah Davis, first game with the Dodgers, throws one pitch. It gets hit into right field. Ball game over. And he gets tagged with the loss. And the Dodgers get beat last night 11-10. So they're a game back of the Padres. But looking at the National League West, man, these teams are all playing great except Colorado. How about Buddy Black? They're 4-18. They're already 12 games out, but 4-18. I don't know if Buddy's going to make it. They brought in Clint Hurdle last week to be the new hitting coach. Remember we talked about that? And Clint Hurdle's a marvelous guy. I'm a big fan of Clint Hurdle. And I'm a big fan of Buddy Black as well. But I don't know. Clint Hurdle, I don't think Clint wants to man. In fact, I don't even think Clint wanted to come back and be the hitting coach originally. I remember talking to him a while back. He goes, yeah, I think my days wearing a uniform are done, and I'm fine with that. I love my family. We do a lot of family things. And he's working for the organization, going around and looking at talent. But they made him the hitting coach. They let Bam Bam Mullins, Hensley Mullins, go last week. And Clint Hurdle going to work with Buddy now. And if they decide to tap Buddy on the shore and say, you know what, Buddy, we got to go a different direction here. We just got to change the tide. Clint Hurdle's there, and he could manage the team the rest of the year. But I think what will happen is Buddy will probably hang in there the remainder of the year. The ownership, Dick Monfort and the folks there, they love Buddy Black. I don't think they want to pull the rug out from under him. Just let him walk away on his own terms maybe at the end of the year. They got a lot of respect for him. But nice to have Clint Hurdle back in a major league uniform. He's a class guy, overcome a lot in his life. But they're 4-18. Padres sitting atop, really with the New York Mets right now. Both teams are 17-7, the best records in baseball. The Dodgers a game back at 16-8. San Francisco. I hadn't seen Bob Melvin's team play, and they got beat last night pretty good by Milwaukee. Monday night, they beat the Brew Crew. But I had not seen the Giants play really at all this year, and I watched the game Monday night. I don't think they're going away. I think they got a pretty good ball club. I was pretty impressed. And, I saw Robbie Ray throw the other night. He looked good, and the bullpen looked good. They got a nice ball club. I don't think they're going to go away. And we're going to see them in San Diego next Tuesday and Wednesday. I think Buster Posey, in his first year as the vice president of baseball operations or whatever his title is, basically the general manager. I know he hired a GM, but he's making all the calls. They got a pretty good ball club, and they're playing with some spirit. And then you got Arizona. Arizona 2.5 games back right now at 14-9, and they're playing good ball. They got a good team. They got a really good team. This division is even better than I thought because I didn't think the Giants were going to be in the mix. I thought the Giants were going to be better, probably a 500, maybe a few games over 500. We'll see how it fares out at the end. But the Giants could be the real fly in the ointment in this division. But right now, Padres sitting at top 17-7, Dodgers 16-8, San Francisco 15-9, Arizona 14-9, and Colorado 4-18. So there you have that. Okay, I want to get to Coach's Mailbag, and then we're going to tell you a little bit later on in the program about Leo Devries. Normally, I give that update on Ethan Salas and Leo Devries on Monday, and I'll continue to do that. But I got to share with you what Leo did the last night. But we're going to do that after we get to Coach's Mailbag and your questions. Let's get to them right now. Otis Pads, or Otis Pods, however you want to call it. How can the Padres win the series tonight? Well, they're number one. They're going to hopefully win the series this afternoon because it's going to be a 10-10 start out here on the West Coast. They just need to get running. Number one, have Fernando have a good day. And I would think there'd be a lot of motivation because right now the Padres, they're a game under 500. They're 12-1 at home, and they're 5-6 on the road. And you want to come home at 6-6. You don't want to come home 5-7. It'd be a losing road trip. You don't want that. You can finish the road trip 3-3. And just go out there, get a good solid start by Kyle Hart. And I'm going to tell you, with an off day tomorrow, Kyle Hart doesn't have to go out there and go deep in this ball game. You can extend some guys. You got some guys ready to go tonight. Now, I don't know if Jason Adams is going to be ready. Man, they're pitching that guy's arm off. But they've got some guys down there in the bullpen. I mean, you got Adrian Morahone, who ought to be ready to go. Everybody else ought to be pretty much ready. Jason Adams pitched a lot for me. Yuki Matsui pitched last night. He could come back tonight. There's no doubt about it. So we'll see. But I think Fernando needs to have a good ball game. And I think Gavin Sheets, I would assume, and I haven't seen the lineup, I would imagine Gavin Sheets going to be in there once again against the right-hander, Reese Olson. Let him go to work. He had a tough night Tuesday night, 0 for 4 after a really nice first game where he hit that opposite field home run. Gavin Sheets having a good year. I want to see more of him. You know, the other thing that I wanted to mention, and so Otis, I think more than anything else, let's get Fernando rolling and have another big night. Not to the degree maybe he had on Sunday night baseball where he put on a clinic, but just, get a couple of hits, a base stolen, get an early lead to where Mike Shildt doesn't have to stay with Kyle Hart too long and they can turn it over to the bullpen with an off day tomorrow. It would be great if Kyle Hart could go out there and go about 5 innings and give up 1 run, or 6 innings and give up 2 runs, and the Padres win the game 5-2 and they get on the plane and have a happy flight back to San Diego going into an off day. That's what I would like to see. But I wanted to mention Oscar Gonzalez and Terso Ornelas. And I know what Mike Shildt is doing. I know he's trying to give his players the best opportunity to succeed. But I want to see some of these guys get an opportunity to play against all kinds of pitching. Terso Ornelas only has a few at-bats since being called up. Doesn't have a hit yet. Does have an RBI. But I want to see the kid from Tijuana. I want to see him get an opportunity to play against everybody. Let's find it. I want to find out if this guy can play, and I think he can. And Oscar Gonzalez, let him go against some right-handed pitching. Just because a right-hander comes in doesn't mean all of a sudden you got to go to the left-handed bat. I don't do that until it's later in the ballgame. I want to have something left in the late innings. And I'm not trying to second-guess Mike Shildt. I guess more than anything else, I'm kind of looking at it from a player's standpoint. I'd like to see some of these players get an opportunity against all comers. And Terso Ornelas, he's probably laying awake last night, knowing a right-hander's on the mound today, and hoping, and I would imagine Mike Shildt probably talked to him, probably in the starting lineup. And he wants to get that first major league hit before he gets on that plane to come back to San Diego. And I'll look forward to that. I've got a big love for players that come from Mexico because I spent some time in different parts of Mexico playing fast pitch softball, baseball, took the San Diego Sockers when I was a GM down there to play. Mexican fans love sports. And man, I'll tell you what, they treated me unbelievably well. And a lot of you know maybe the story of me and Wynton Bernard. Wynton Bernard's a young man from Rancho Bernardo High School. I'm going to kind of tell you this story because I think it better understand my thoughts on Mexico and baseball and the history of Mexico and the Fernando Valenzuelas of the world, the Vinny Castillas. But when Bernard was a young man that, I don't know, I think it was 2011, wrote me a letter. And I was doing the Padre post-game show. And I was getting home at 1 o'clock every morning. And I got this email from a young man, and I didn't know Winton. I didn't know him from anybody. I'd never heard of him. And, I was working so many hours in those days. And, I was doing like a million shows a week and spent a lot of time at the ballpark. So I get this email from this young man, and I'm reading it at like 1 o'clock in the morning when I got home from Petco. And it says, "Dear Coach Kentera, my name's Winton Bernard. I just finished my junior year at Niagara University, and I really need some help on my hitting." So I wrote him back. I go, "Winton, I'm very, very busy." I go, "But I'll take a look at you." So I called Matt Chess, the baseball coach at the time up at Torrey Pines, my alma mater, and where I'd coached for a number of years. I go, "Matt, could you open the cage? I got to work a young man out." So I went up there and went and had this open stand. He was doing everything wrong. Let's put it that way. And I had to retool him. He was coming off a terrible year at Niagara, but there were some extenuating circumstances. He had lost his dad the year before, and he was very close to his family, and he was away in Buffalo, New York, playing in Niagara, and he was spiraling downhill as a baseball player. And so I said to him after working with him one time, I go, "Look, I'm really busy in the radio business." I go, "But if you'll work around my schedule, I'll work with you." And so I started working with Winton. And that summer, he was playing in a Southern California league, like with the Santa Barbara Foresters. It was all the best college players who were playing in this league. He ended up hitting 375 with a wood bat. And we're working and we're working. He made the All Star team, won a gold glove, and finished second in the league in hitting. So he goes back to Niagara, has a good year. And 2 weeks to go, he breaks his hamate bone. And I'm trying to get teams interested in him because the guy can really run. So the Padres get a hold of me and they said, "Hey, bring Winton down and we'll work him out. We know he can't hit, but he can run, he can throw." Well, he was the fastest guy in the tryout camp. And Max Fried was there throwing a bullpen, Carlos Correa. They had all the top guys there on a Sunday. It was a few days before the draft. The draft was going to be on Wednesday, and I took Winton down on the Sunday. He threw from right field. He was the fastest guy running in the 60, and the Padres drafted him in the 35th round. Well, he got hurt. He was hurt, broken hamate bone, went down there, got to a slow start, didn't get to play a whole lot. First year, kind of a waste. Next year, he came back, got moved around to 4 different teams, really didn't get much of an opportunity. Padres released him. And it's a long story, folks. But the kid ended up signing with Detroit. He was a Midwest League MVP, won a batting title, onward and upward. Okay, a few years ago, he broke into the big leagues with Colorado. And I think he had 42 at bats at 286. In the last few years, he's been down in AAA. Nobody would sign him this year. He's 35 years of age, but loves playing. Played in Mexicali during the winter, and now is playing for Yucatan and loving it. He called me after the game they opened up against Mexico City and said, "Coach, the fans down here are unbelievable." And he's playing on the road. He goes, "They love baseball so much." And I'm just so thankful that things are going well early for Winton. He's off to the first game of the year. He had 3 hits. The kid can flat out play. But really, what I want to tell you here is he's played in Mexico a lot in winter ball. And he has always been treated so well because the Mexican baseball fans love the game of baseball. And they love people that go down there and play their tail off. And I know Winton's going to have a successful season, but for a kid like Tirso Ornelas from Tijuana, that's so cool. It's so cool, and like Eduardo Rodriguez and all the guys that Eduardo Ortega, all these guys, Carlos Hernandez, and of course Carlos caught for the Padres, but Eduardo Ortega, one of the great guys you'll ever meet, the Padre play-by-play voice in Spanish. Those guys love the game of baseball. And I can't tell you how many nights I spent talking with Eduardo and Juan Avila when he was doing the games about Mexican League baseball. But I'm waiting for Tirso Ornelas to really get that opportunity to get a couple of hits. And I hope he gets one today. so he can get on that plane with a smile on his face. Okay, let's keep the questions coming. I want to tell you that Wynton Bernard story. It's really a cool story. Pod Squad, what are your thoughts on Shadur Sanders and tomorrow's draft? Yeah, I was going to mention the draft. In fact, I was trying to get a guy on today, but he was so busy. Maybe we'll work on that Friday. Shadur Sanders, you know what? I think he's a talented guy. I don't know if he's a first round draft pick for me. I've read, conflicting things. The thing that you have to do, Pod Squad, is you've got to separate Shadur Sanders from his dad. And that's hard to do because Neon Dion is going to be involved. And if he doesn't like something, it's going to be out there on social media. It's going to be with the press. I would probably stay away from him personally. But if I need a quarterback, I may have to roll the dice. Of all the players in this draft, I'm very interested to see where he goes. And if he does end up going in the first round, that will be interesting. The other thing that I want to mention, and I think most of you know me well, I don't like to ever demean athletes. I'm all about building and empowering athletes. I want the best for ball players. And as a coach, in my opinion, you try to get more with sugar than you do with vinegar. But Shadur Sanders, his number got retired last weekend. His number got retired at Colorado. I could think of a million guys that should have had their number retired at Colorado before Shadur Sanders. Now, I know Travis Hunter. He won the Heisman Trophy. I understand that one. But I don't understand Shadur Sanders other than he was the guy that threw the ball to Travis Hunter, and he's the head coach's son. I mean, it wasn't like they won a conference title or a national championship. I mean, what about Cordell Stewart? I mean, we could go back and we could go up and down the roster of some of those great Colorado teams under Bill McCartney, for crying out loud. But I don't want to bag on Shadur. Probably wasn't his dude. I don't think he went in and said, "Hey, I want my number retired." I don't know where that came from. Travis Hunter, I get it. The guy won a Heisman Trophy. I totally get that. But Shadur Sanders, it's going to be interesting to see where his name's called. I'll be honest with you. Cam Ward's a really good player, good athlete. I don't know if I'm sold on him. I'm not sure I'm sold on any of these quarterbacks, quite frankly. But I'm looking forward to the draft. It'll be fun. It's always fun. I did draft shows for 100 years. I love them. Man, after I got done doing draft shows with Hacksaw and Bill Werndell, man, my head was buzzing. I used to always be very, very careful when I was driving home after doing those draft shows because you use up so much mental energy. It's crazy. It really is crazy. Okay, let's keep them coming. Mike, do you think NIL is getting out of hand and needs to be regulated more? Absolutely, 100%. Because you're going to have the middle to lower half of Division One school. They're not going to be able to compete. They're going to get frustrated, and they're going to either drop some of their programs altogether, or they're going to drop down division. We saw St. Francis, who made the NCAA basketball tournament. They as soon as they got eliminated, they didn't drop down to Division Two. They dropped down to Division Three, and their coach quit because he didn't want to be a Division Three coach. And I think in football, see, basketball, you can hang in there a little bit because one or two guys on a basketball team can make a big difference. But in football, you got to have numbers. You got to have guys that can play, but you got to have depth. I saw San Diego State. They've got 6 guys. How about this? How about staying and working hard? There's 6 guys from Sean Lewis's original recruiting class. 6 redshirt freshmen. They're walking out of the program. They entered the transfer portal. They haven't even gotten on the field. They've been in the program working. I don't know. Maybe they feel they can't play here. Maybe they're not good enough. But man, guys enter the transfer portal. If they're not number 1 on the depth chart, they enter the transfer portal. Well, that doesn't tell me they got great mental makeup. I can tell you that. Now, I understand if there's a coaching change. I get that. The guys that is coaching now didn't recruit you. It's a different, offense or defensive scheme you don't fit. But these guys just signed a year ago. They were redshirt freshmen, and they're all entering the transfer portal. God, don't be afraid of a little hard work, folks. I mean, that's what it's all about. I was talking to a mother yesterday at my granddaughter's beach volleyball game. And I said, athletes got to be able to deal with adversity because there's more adversity than there are pats on the back as an athlete. It's tough, man. I think of all the things that I went through as an athlete. I mean, you go home talking to yourself. You sit on the edge of your bed and you look at your top of your feet. Your head's down. You gotten beat up. Whether it was got beat up by your coach or you got beat up in a game or you lost a tough one. I got news for you, man. If you don't have good, strong mental makeup, you might as well just figure out what you want to do the rest of your life. And you're going to deal with adversity and everything in life. But in athletics, man, there's more negativity than there's positivity as far as the outcomes. And being an athlete, I've told people this, and I'll tell myself this. Being an athlete, a lot of times it doesn't end well. You either get hurt, ain't able to continue your career, you get cut. The coach that recruited you left, the new coach didn't really like you, didn't play you. You end up hanging it up early with eligibility still left, or you get cut, because you played too much in the NFL or Major League Baseball, and rather than just retiring on your own accord, they cut you, and you got to go home, and you're ticked off, and you go into a depression. It's not easy being an athlete. I mean, it's a tough world out there, and I'm not going to sit here and bitch, moan, and complain about the kids that entered the transfer portal. But man, they're redshirt freshmen. They don't even know if they can play or not. Don't be afraid to be a good special teams player as a redshirt freshman and work your way onto the depth chart. But now, if you don't come out number one in your position on the depth chart, man, guys are entering the transfer portal. And I got news for you. A lot of the guys that enter the transfer portal, they never come out of the transfer portal because there's a good chance that the school that originally recruited you may have made a mistake. Maybe you weren't as good as they thought, and other schools didn't have you high on their list, or they don't need your position this year. And you end up having to go back to junior college, which isn't the worst thing that can happen, I might add, to where you can play, get experience, and then maybe get looking a little bit better on tape, and you get, taken. But man, don't be afraid to work hard. That's for damn sure. Okay, let's keep those questions coming here. What do we got? Tyler, look at today's lineup. Who needs to step up on offense? I haven't seen the lineup yet, but I'll try to find it here if I can. They got to have it out here, I would imagine. But I'll take a look at it. But again, I think a lot of it really goes with Fernando. If Fernando's doing a good job and getting on base, everybody else is going to be a heck of a lot better. So we'll take a look at that lineup right now. Let's see what I got. Okay, I'm sure it's going to pop up. I'm not getting it on my line. There we go. We got Tatis, Sheets, Machado, Bogarts, Ornelas. How about that? Terso, I was talking about him. He's going to be hitting fifth today. Oscar Gonzalez is going to be in the lineup. That's a good one. Fernando's actually going to be the DH today. Jose Iglesias, Tyler Wade, Maldonado's going to catch, and of course Kyle Hart's going to be on the mound. So, all right, we got both Terso Ornelas and Oscar Gonzalez in the lineup today. I like that. And Fernando's going to get an opportunity to be the designated hitter leading off. So good stuff. I want to see Terso Ornelas get 2 hits today, and I want to see Oscar Gonzalez take one over the boards. How about that? Let's get those 2 guys up that started the year in AAA. Let's have the big days for them and have them feel good when they're eating their meal on that plane ride home tonight. Okay. Anacote Powder. If one of our starters gets hurt, who gets the first call up? Kolek, Cruz, or Berger? I think Kolek, even though his last start was miserable. Cruz is going to work out of the bullpen. And I mentioned Omar Cruz. I think he's going to be pretty good. He's 26 years of age, left-hander. I like him a lot. And I think people in the Padre organization like him a lot. But I think I'd probably give it to Kolek, even though his ERA jumped up to a 7.11. A little bit different pitching in the Pacific Coast League. But Bergert, possibly. But I think Kolek could be the easy one because he's on the 40-man roster. I'm not sure Bergert right now is on the 40-man roster. And you can always open up a 40-man spot if you got a guy you can move to the 60-day IL. But thank you very much for that question. Appreciate that. Okay, Rise back for Giants game. He should be back Tuesday night. If everything checks out, he should be back for the Giant brief 2-game set. And again, Padres got a 5-game homestand starting Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday afternoon against Tampa Bay. Off Monday, night game Tuesday against San Francisco, and a day game at 1:10 on Wednesday. But if everything goes as planned and he's feeling good and he's able to get through that concussion protocol, I would imagine Luis Vries will be batting second and playing first base on Tuesday night. So there you have that. Okay, what else we got today, folks? Any thoughts on when Merrill returns, Coach? I think we're going to know more on Friday. He and Brandon Lockridge are hamstring buddies. He's got a right hamstring, Jackson. Lockridge's got a left hamstring. They've been back here in San Diego during this road trip. I think it's going to be at least another week. Cronenworth maybe a couple of weeks, even though Jake's on the trip right now. I've been throwing a little bit, which is encouraging because he got hit in his right side, the non-displaced rib fractures on his right side, but he's been playing a little catch, not overly extending, but, just working his arm a little bit. But I think after Friday, when Mike Schultz meets with the media, we'll have a much better idea on both Merrill and on Lockridge. But I thank you very much for that question. And again, I encourage you to send these questions in. Absolutely love answering questions and the back and forth. John, I love your work, Coach. I was wondering which catcher you think should play the majority of the games. God bless. Thank you very much. I'm right back at you. I think the way they're doing it right now, remember, you got a 38-year-old catcher in Maldonado, and you got a 34-year old catcher in Elias Diaz. And I think when off days come in huge for these veteran catchers. But Maldonado going to be behind the plate. I think they're doing fine. They're both right-hand hitters. What would be interesting is if you had, a left-hand hitter and a right-hand hitter, how would they do it? But they're both right-hand hitters, so they're very, I don't know about you. To me, they seem pretty interchangeable over the long haul. And I know Diaz, he hit the home run last time. He's only hitting 190. He's going to end up hitting probably 240 to 260. I think last year, he hit 265 combined between Colorado and the Padres, right around that number. He'll get it going bat-wise. He'll have a 3-hit game here at some point, but I think the way they're utilizing the catchers, I think it's fine. They're pretty much very similar in a lot of ways to me. And I thought the comments by Nick Pivetta after the ball game Tuesday night, talking about Elias Diaz, he always calls a great game. So obviously Pivetta and the pitching staff, they're all on the same page with both of these catchers. These guys have been around a long time, and they've both had a lot of success. I mean, Maldonado, what is his 15th year in the big leagues? And really, he stayed in the big leagues because the guy can flat out call games and he can catch. In the last few years, he's had a hard time, hitting 200. But right now, he's, hitting in the high 250s. So we'll see what he does today. It'd be great. Mike, do you think NIL? Oh, we lost that. Oh, we got to get before we get out of here, we got to get to Leo Devries. Now, you're not going to believe this night. He had to retire right now, but he's also the youngest guy in the Midwest League. Think about this night. Last night for Fort Wayne, Leo Devries had a career night. He hit for the cycle. But not only, for you folks that don't know what a cycle is, it's a game where you have a single, double, triple, and home run. He had 2 home runs. He went 5 for 5 with a single, double, triple, and 2 dingers. He drove in 8 runs. That tied the club record that was set back in 2018 by Gabriel Arias, who's now playing a lot for the Cleveland Guardians. DeVries is the youngest guy in the Midwest League. And got off to a slow start. Remember I mentioned on Monday he was hitting like 188? And I didn't go back and look to see what he's hitting after a 5 for 5 night, but early in the year with not a lot of at-bats, that average is going to skyrocket. Now, on Monday, I'll give you the update for both him and Ethan Salas. But 5 for 5, 2 dingers, hit for the cycle, and 8 RBIs. God, I wonder who's going to be the Midwest League Player of the Week. And they've only played 2 games. Actually, 1 game because they're off on Mondays. He's going to be the Midwest League Player of the Week, and he's only played 1 game this week. Unbelievable. Yeah, minor leagues, they normally now they play on Tuesday through Sunday, and they're off on Mondays. That's a good schedule. That's a really good schedule. So do we have any other questions? because I love answering those questions. We're hoping the Padres get the rubber game today. Tyler, how deep do you think Kyle Hart can go in today's game versus the Tigers? Well, I would hope 5 innings, but I'm going to say 4 2/3, just to be the contrarian. I'll go 4 2/3. I want him to go 5, and I want the Padres to have a nice lead and him get a win and lower that ERA. Can you believe right-hand hitters are hitting 333 against him, and his ERA just astronomical on the road? I mean, if he could throw up a shutout inning in the first inning, that ERA would go down quite a bit. And his ERA on the road's over 15 right now. And right-hand hitters are hitting 333 against left-hand hitters hitting 071. That's amazing to me. You know what? Because I'm pulling for him, I'm going to say he goes 5. 5, he's got the lead, and he's going to have a chance if the bullpen holds up, which I would imagine they will, and the Padres are going to get on with a win. They're going to get on the plane with a win and a 3-3 road trip. Come back and enjoy an off day with their family and friends. That's what I got, Tyler. How about that? We're going to give Kyle Hart the opportunity to go 5 today. Okay, I want to thank everyone for tuning in today. Very much appreciate it. We'll be back in on Friday, 9 a.m. We'll talk a little bit about the draft. Again, the draft runs Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and we'll break it down a little bit on Friday. But again, thank you for watching. Please subscribe, please like, and please send your comments. And again, we're on 3 platforms: YouTube, San Diego Sports Talk, John Kentera Show, Facebook. You can follow me at John Kentera, and on X at Coach Kentera44. Until Friday morning at 9 a.m. Coach John Kentera, go Padres. Talk to you Friday, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.